Ayo, what is up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing amazing. We are 30 days away from launching my third business, my brand new business, the Act First Closing Academy. I want to give you guys the whole scoop. I want to give you guys everything I'm thinking right now, everything I'm feeling right now. We're going to do a full breakdown, 30 days away from launch time, update, feeling, thinking, what I'm going through. I'm going to give you guys the whole lowdown. Now, if you're not subscribed to my vlog channel, all right, selfishly, I record these vlogs for my future kids, hoping I get a boy and a girl, because I have a boy name picked, Axel Molyneux, and a girl name picked, Sky Molyneux. I record these vlogs for my future kids. I also selfishly record these vlogs for my 80-year-old self. I think it would be really cool when I'm old and I can go back and I can watch my whole entire life unfold simply by recording these vlogs on a bi-weekly basis.
This year, the business has not been profitable.
And yeah, I feel like a failure. It's been a frustrating day. Unselfishly, I record these for anybody that wants to tune in to the journey. I want to achieve massive things with my life, and I'm willing to bet on myself and record the whole entire process. And you get to learn from my failures and my successes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break it down. Off to my right-hand side here, I just have my talking points, but let's go ahead and do it. So if you are not fully filled in on my story and my journey up until this point, I'll give you like the 60-second version. If you already know, you could skip past this point and get to the next section. But 60 seconds, okay? In 2015, I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was 19 years old. I went to four colleges in 5 years. I absolutely hated college. When I was 19, I started my first business. It took me 3 years to get that business to go full-time. I was an online fitness coach. Once I went full-time, I built that business up to $50,000 a month. And then from there, I started teaching people how to grow online fitness coaching businesses. And that was my most recent business. It was called NLCA. All right, NLCA has come to an end. All right, I'm moving on from NLCA. I had a lot of great years, a lot of great success with NLCA. In 2024, it actually was my hardest year of business yet. NLCA had an absolutely god-awful, terrible year. At the end of the year, I did a gut check and I asked myself, is my heart still in this business? Do I want to actually take the effort to turn this business around? And my answer was no. So I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to start fresh. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're starting the Act First Closing Academy. All right. So the first question I want to answer for you is, why does this business actually exist? All right. And I'm not just going to give you some philosophical bullshit, right? Like I could sit here and be like, this business exists to help XYZ person achieve XYZ thing. Sure. And I am going to tell you that portion of it. But I'm going to tell you the real. I'm always about being honest and telling the truth. The reason this business exists is, one, I think that sales out of any business skill. So I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I've taught entrepreneurship for how many of those years? 6, 7? Something like that. I've taught entrepreneurship for a lot of years. And the skill that I've always been known for, the skill that I've always been really good at, is the skill of sales, is the skill of selling. In my previous business, I was teaching the full scope of business. And there were some elements that I really wasn't that good at teaching at. So I didn't feel like I could service the client the best. So when I was thinking about what do I want my next business to be, I really just looked at myself in the mirror and said, well, what am I good at? I actually didn't, and this is like, there's a lesson in here, so make sure you pay attention. I actually didn't ask myself, what am I passionate about? I think a lot of people, when they create a new business, they ask themselves, what am I passionate about? And I didn't ask myself that. I asked myself, what am I good at? Right? Why did I ask myself that? Because I'm passionate at a lot of things. All right. I'm passionate. I love animals. I have a love for animals. I have a love for nature. I have a love for sports. I have a love for like political talk and life talk. I have a love for a lot of different things, but it doesn't mean I'm fucking good at it. Right? It doesn't mean I'm good at it at all. So if I decided, hey, I'm going to take that career path, I would really be hitting the reset button. Like I would have to build the skill to be good in that arena. And it would probably take me another 10 years to get to the point where I'm at currently on this path. So that's why I didn't ask myself, what am I passionate about? I more so asked myself, what am I good at? Now, of course, you're also going to be passionate about things that you're good at, right? It may not be that passion is the number one. You just may be good at it, right? But I actually think that that's a smarter decision, especially if you're trying to build a business and have it be a career, right? Because there's some pressure on me right now, right? I'm 30 years old. I'm very close to starting a family. I would say I'm going to start a family in the next 1 to 2 years. Axel Sky, if you're listening to this, yes, that's right. We're planning on creating you. And there's some, pressure on me as the man in the household to not start completely fresh in a career and to, make money for the future family. So that's why I chose what I'm good at over what I'm passionate about, right? And don't take that the wrong way. Of course, I'm passionate about this business, but it wasn't the first element of choice. Okay, the next question I want to answer is, what does winning look like? Once again, I just want to be radically transparent. I don't want to leave anything out here. And I don't want to give you fluff. I feel like a lot of times, in these videos, people just give you the bullshit. What does winning look like? All right, I feel like I've had a lot of growth here and evolution. In my previous business, winning looked like making as much fucking money as possible. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Douchebag Chad here. I'm a business coach, and I want to scam you for your money, baby. Come on, Black Friday, pay us, and I'll help you make billions. And I'm just being transparent, signing on as many clients every single month, increasing the amount of clients you sign on every month, increasing the amount of monthly revenue every single month, and trying to grow it every single month, month after month, month after month. I had a compulsion about that. That's not necessarily what winning looks like for me in this business. I have a dollar amount in mind that I want to make revenue wise. I'm not necessarily yet concerned about scaling it. That's not my initial goal. And this is the first business I've ever created where scaling wasn't my first thought. My first thought for this business is actually lifestyle. All right. So I want to hit this amount of money. I want to have a certain amount of employees. And fuck it, you know what? Okay, I told you I was going to be transparent. I'm going to tell you how much money I want. Okay, so in my previous business, there were some months where we would make $400,000 a month. But on average, we were probably making like $320,000 a month in top line revenue. And I would take home, my best year take home was like 1.7 million. I had a couple of years like 1.2, 1.6, a couple of years in the six figures. But anyways, where I'm going with this is I used to make a ton of money, right? The amount of money that I think is like, okay, this is going to provide the lifestyle I want, where I'm not necessarily focused on scaling, would be $150,000 a month top line revenue. And if I had like a 70% margin, a 60% margin, I should be able to take home 6 figures a month. And some of you guys might be saying like, Chad, that's fucking crazy. That's ridiculous. Yes, it is. Compared to what I used to do, it is much smaller, but yes, it is an amazing amount of money, a life-changing amount of money, and I do recognize that. But it is the amount of money that would make me feel like I'm accomplishing something monetarily, but not make me feel like I'm scaling a business and my only focus is on money. Because this time around, what winning means to me is having that financial fence, but also having other areas of my life that I'm excelling at. Being a father, being a husband, I'm getting back into athletics. I'm running a marathon this October, and there's other athletic endeavors that I want to get into. I'm on a spiritual journey, a personal development journey, right? There's other elements in my life that I want to pour into other than just making as much money as possible. And I think there's a lot of growth there, and I think there's a lot of evolution there. And I also believe I'm trying to give as much value in this as possible other than just talking about myself. But I also believe that you have to, if you have it on your heart to make a lot of money, you have to go after making as much money as possible to get to the place where I'm at. Because if I didn't make that much money, I would probably be saying with this business that I want to be making a ton of money. But because I've achieved a business that made a lot of money, of course I still want to make a lot of money, but it's not my only desire anymore. See what I'm saying? You kind of have to go after it in order to get over it, in so many words, and start achieving other things in your life. All right, the next thing I want to cover here is my plan. All right, so what do the next 30 days look like? All right, once again, I'm gonna use radical transparency here. I'm gonna start with the marketing plan. So one of my big goals this year, and this is a mistake that I've made in my career. So over the past 10 years, I really neglected building a organic brand. And I just said, I'm good at sales, and that's going to be, I'm just going to muscle through, and that's what's going to get me successful. And it worked, but it worked more in the short term. If I focused on building an organic brand over the past 10 years, I guarantee I would be 10 times more successful than I am right now. Okay. And the reason I say that is this year, I started dedicating myself to building an organic brand. It's been 6 months, and I don't think that I'm going to sign many people, if any people at all, for my organic brand for this business. And that's the radical transparency part. So you're probably like, well, Chad, in the next 30 days, then how are you going to be signing clients? Well, I'm going to have to go back to what I know. I'm going to have to run ads, create an ad funnel, and that ad funnel will lead to a sales appointment, and we'll close the deals via sales calls. And that's my bread and butter. I'm going to continue. This doesn't mean that I'm not going to focus on the organic content. I 110% are going to be focusing on the organic content because long term, I want to have a notable brand. I want to have that organic presence because there's so many benefits that come with it. But in the beginning, and being transparent, I'm going to have to go back to what I'm relying on. So that's my marketing strategy over the next 30 days is to build a funnel. And the funnel that I'm going to build, if you care, I know a lot of you watching Our Business People, is the one that's worked for me over the past 10 years. It's a messenger funnel. You have a free resource, you have an ad, you have a keyword, like let's say it's a sales script, right? Hey, I'm giving away my 8-figure sales script. DM me the word script and I'll send it to you, right? They DM the word script, it automatically sends them the sales script, and then you have a DMer in there who prospects them and books them for a sales call. Simplest, easiest funnel that's worked for me and has made me millions and millions of dollars. All right, so that's my plan in terms of business-wise. Obviously, well, actually, I'm going to say one other thing. That's my marketing plan. The sole thing that I've been focused on this whole time is making the product the best possible product that I can make. The best, but that's a change, all right? And this is an evolution, okay? Because that wasn't always my focus. My focus was mostly how can I extract the most sales? How can I book more calls? But this time around, I'm really focused on the client, right? And that's a learning lesson, right? So once again, write this stuff down, right? The learning lesson is if you want to actually grow a successful business that gets referrals, has good word of mouth, has good longevity, has good reviews, you got to focus on the client. And I know that sounds so basic and so simple, but 10 years into entrepreneurship, it is the basic and simple principles that are true. And the reason I say it's simple, but not easy is because it's really easy to get caught up on the sales side of things. It's really easy to get caught up on, I need to book more calls, I need to close more deals, and you forget about the client. But with this business, I'm always going to put the client first in my focus. All right, so the next question under like the plan, what I'm focused on in the next 30 days is, do I want to do this with a team? Well, I do. I want to do it with a small team. In my previous business, at its peak of its powers, it had 34 staff members, and truthfully, it was one of the reasons that caused a lot of problems. I had way too many staff members, and I've said this before, but if I did choose to continue to push through NLCA and like get over the hurdle that we were going through, I would have let go of majority of the people and kept like a 5-person team. That would have made the business a lot more profitable and would have been able to sustain the hard times that we were going through. Okay. So this time around, I'm going to have a very small team. I'm going to have an operations manager. I'm going to have one assistant coach. I'm going to have a DMer, and I'm going to have a closer. So I'm going to have a 4-person team, and I'm going to ride with a 4-person team. And honestly, I'm fucking excited about it. I'm really excited about it because it's going to allow me to work on my zone of genius and really help the clients, where previously I was only really focused on the staff. Right, when you have a 34-person team and you're the leader, I was pouring majority of my energy into the staff because they were pouring majority of their energy into the clients, right? So if I pour into them, they pour into the clients. And I really didn't pour into the clients much at all because of that. And I'm excited to have that change of pace, to still lead the small team to the best of my ability, but really to pour a lot of my energy into the clients. The third topic I want to discuss, what is at stake? The pressure that I am feeling, the internal stakes. So the first question I wrote down here is, what's at risk emotionally, financially, and reputationally? Okay, I'm going to start with financially. So I have not made money over the past 6 months, and that's a loaded way of saying it. So I'm going to kind of clarify what I mean here. So NLCA, we're letting all the client contracts run out. So I am still collecting money every single month, but I haven't made any new money, right? I haven't been operating a business. I'm just living off of the scraps from my previous business, but I haven't made any new money in the past 6 months. So financially, there's a lot at stake here. Caitlin does make money. She does contribute to our family, but I am the primary breadwinner of this family. And what's at stake here is obviously our immediate need for our lifestyle. We do have money in the bank, obviously, but you don't want to pull money out of the bank. You want to be making new money, growing your savings, growing your investments, and growing your life. And really for the past 6 months, we haven't been growing anything. We've actually just been dipping into our savings and then living off the scraps of my previous business. Told you I'd be radically transparent. So what's at stake financially here is getting back into a place where we are on top again, where we are investing again, where we are saving again. And once again, that's going to make me feel a lot more comfortable starting a family, which is something that we want to do. Okay. So that's what's at risk financially here. Okay. What's at risk emotionally? Well, I would say my biggest fear is, what if this doesn't work? My biggest fear is, what if this fails? My biggest fear is, what if this doesn't work out? Am I going to have to get a job? Am I going to have to, and I haven't had a job since I was 19 years old. Would I have to go back and get a job, get a sales job, or would I have to start a brand new business, right? That's what's at stake emotionally, is fear. I have a lot of fear around that. And it's even hard for me to communicate because I probably stuff it down so much. But it is very, it is prevalent. I am scared of that. Is this going to work out? And it's funny because I've had 2 previous businesses that have been successful, and you still question it. It never goes away. And what's at stake reputationally? Well, if this fails, it will be public knowledge that this fails. And then how people would probably perceive me is, well, NLCA came to an end. He wasn't able to do this business. And what would be at stake reputationally is people would definitely, I wouldn't say lose trust in me, but they would lose faith in me, right? Because I am a business coach. I'm supposed to be coaching people on how to do these things. And if I wasn't able to make it work, then where's the fucking trust coming from, right? So I'd probably have to pivot into a different career path. That's what's at stake reputationally, which is a lot, right? That's a lot of things at stake. Okay, next question. How are you staying focused and not letting past success screw up this new chapter? I don't think I'm letting past success screw up this new chapter at all. I'm not even thinking about my past successes. I feel like they are so far ago, because not only the past 6 months have I not been making new money because I'm building this new business, but 2024 was a train wreck for me. It was a very hard year of business. I've had a lot of successful years of business. 2020, or really basically up until 2024, 2023 were all successful years of business for me. So it's been a year and a half since that point. So I don't think I'm letting success screw up this new chapter at all. And if anything, I feel like I'm starting over. I feel like I'm a beginner again. I feel like I'm a newbie again. And I would say that's actually what is exciting me and helping me stay focused, is I've taken myself to zero, and I just have a good perspective about it. I think a lot of people take themselves to zero and they have a bad perspective about it. They start beating themselves up and saying they suck and saying that it's never going to work. And I just want to be completely honest. I have and do have those thoughts, but I don't let those thoughts change my actions. I still show up every day and complete my list and do what I need to do and get the to-do list done and check those boxes, even though I do have those thoughts. So I would say the thing that's keeping me going actually is being a beginner and being excited for this next chapter. All right, the last section we have here is the habits. How are you preparing mentally and physically for this launch? All right, 3 questions in this section. Question number 1, how you structured your days leading up to the launch. I have structured my days in this way. I wake up 5:30, go to the gym. So I prioritize myself first. As you guys know, that wasn't always the case for me. I come back, I listen to a podcast, pour into my mindset, make breakfast, and I start work at 9. From 9 to 1, I'm focused on the biggest task of that day, which right now is completing the module. So I'm really just focused on making this the best product that I can. All right. And then after 1 o'clock, I'm doing all my ancillary work, which I would say the second priority is getting posts out and building my brand and things like that. And then of course, as a business owner, you have a bunch of admin work. And usually that will take, depending on the day, that will take me anywhere from 4 o'clock on a light day to 6:30 on a heavy day. And then from there, I do my personal development routine. I hang out with my wife. That's my day. It's pretty basic, pretty simple, exactly how I like it. I like it. I like doing the same structure thing every single day. That's how I operate. Discipline over dopamine. Ooh, okay. That's a good one. That's a good one I do want to talk about. I would say in 2024, one of the reasons that I struggled is I prioritized checking off the to-do list opposed to focusing on the big thing. Like I told you, from 9 to 1, I'm focused on the big thing. The motto, and I heard this from, I think it's Brendan Bouchard. I just want to give credit where credit's due. But he said, get the biggest thing done by 1. And I've taken that seriously in 2025, and I've been much more productive. So much so that my days are ending significantly earlier, right? And in 2024, my days would go until like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And by the end of the day, I'd be like, holy shit, I feel like I didn't do anything. And it's because I was just checking off the to-do list opposed to prioritizing what's actually important and like really looking at like, what am I doing, right? Like, what am I doing? If my version of myself now looked at my old calendar, I would have probably like crossed off 5 or 6 things and just focused on the main most important things. And that's what I mean here by focusing on discipline over dopamine, right? We get that dopamine hit when we check off the little things on our list, and we do that all day long, right? But the biggest reward and the biggest dopamine hit is actually going to come from completing the biggest thing. I can't tell you how much of like a sigh, I get the biggest thing done, and I just take the biggest sigh of relief, and I feel so good, and all the rest of my work for that day feels so easy. And obviously it's not easy, but because I got the biggest thing done, it feels that way. Ariel, that's everything up until launch. If you guys have any questions though, like if you like, hey, I'm actually curious, Chad, like how are you approaching this? You know, what are your thoughts here? Drop them in the comment section down below. I'm willing to do another video answering those questions, but hopefully you enjoyed the rawness. Like I said in the beginning, make sure you subscribe if you want to follow along on the journey. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.